Abba Yahuwah, I just want to praise and thank you. I thank you for this time that we find ourselves in as we continue on this journey, as we are in this time that we find ourselves in a time of the visitation of Yahushua. But you see, in the time of the visitation of Yahushua, many of us want a physical visitation, a physical manifestation. Yet at the end of the day, when Yahushua visited them, they knew that Yahushua had visited them. Because their eyes were opened to the Word, to understand the Word. So His visitation comes not in just a manifestation, which is what we always have, this understanding of manifestation. But His coming and His walking on the earth comes to be able to open up the Word so that we may have the deeper revelation of who He is in the Word, because He said to them, He said to the disciples, He opened up the Word so that they understood the scriptures that was given to them in the Torah of Moshe, in the Psalms, in the prophets, that they needed to see Him. And if we read this Bible and we are not able to have a manifestation and an understanding of Yahushua being able to be seen through the scriptures, then somehow we have missed the bigger understanding of what He's trying to show us. Because we are not reading these scriptures only to gain knowledge. We are reading these scriptures so that we may be able to understand our King, understand the one who died and resurrected and revealed His power. And the power is to be able to come and open up the mind of our understanding to be able to see Him in all His glory, in all His power, in all His might. To be able to see Him in the pages of our scriptures from Genesis to Revelation, so that we may truly know our Messiah and King. My Father, please forgive me. Forgive me, Abba, my Father, for my limited understanding. Forgive me for my own selfish mindsets of what has been given to me by religious understandings, and for where I do not submit myself totally to understand Your ways. Because Your thoughts are not our thoughts, and truly Your ways are not our ways, and You will reveal Yourself in a way that we do not quite understand. But we want to put You in our own box. The box of our religious systems, the box of what we want to be able to have according to our flesh and what our flesh still wants. And Abba Yahuwah, I ask You to please forgive me. Forgive me, my Father. Because like me, we are all in the same boat. And this is what I see with these Israelites as I read through the pages of these in the wilderness. And that is why in this wilderness You are wanting to come and to be able to take out of us Mitzrayim's ways, Egypt's ways, that has given us foundations and mindsets that oppose You and oppose who You are and oppose how You want to work. And in many areas of our lives we think we are so submitted, but in many other areas we are totally bound. And so my Abba, my Father, I pray that the wilderness is there to be able to be a place of trial and test, to come and try us, to come and test us, to come and expose our hearts to us, because in Mitzrayim we were doing things in the pattern of how it was done because that was the bondage that we were in. But in Bamidbar, in the wilderness, you are wanting to medaber, you are wanting to speak to us so that you can break down our mindsets, break down the things that are there in our lives, so that we do not follow the world and its ways, but that instead we follow you and your way. And that sometimes is going deep, deep exposing, deep breaking down, because we are so conformed to a religious system. And that is why you say, come out of Babylon, come out of this confusion, come out of this mixed seed. And oh my Father, I truly have realized that this goes deeper than what I understood. Because you see, I just look at the exterior things, but these mindsets go far deeper than we understand. Far deeper. Because we are so ingrained with what we've been taught in some of our church systems. And so, Abba Yahuwah, I pray, Father, that we will not be like these Israelites in the wilderness, and yet we are, because we are right now in this wilderness. And I ask you, my Father, let us not be these rebellious children, but that we allow you to come and clean us up and do things your way, even if we don't understand. Take out of us our limited understanding. Take out of us our mindsets. Take out of us those areas, religious mindsets that have kept us bound because of what we have received in a religious system that caters to a flesh. Break it down. Let us go up our mountain. And let us allow you to have your way in us. Let us, in our wilderness right now, allow you to speak, because it's your words that are going to set us free. Only your words. Because the Bible says that it's the truth of your word that sets the captives free. Because it's only your word that can penetrate the heart to bring the transformation that is necessary to be able to take place. And forgive us, my Father, where we gripe, where we moan, where we complain, where we are not satisfied. We're not satisfied with what you give us. We want more. And more is sometimes not good, because we do not allow ourselves to be in the place of where we are satisfied with the little bit of grass that you are giving us to feed on right now. That is why when the shepherd takes the sheep into when the shepherd takes the sheep out in the wilderness, and I know how I saw so many sheep in Israel, in the wilderness, in the desert, and I would think, what do the sheep eat? There's only rocks. But the shepherd knows how to be able to go and move some of those rocks, and there's a little patch of grass here and a little patch of grass there. And so they don't have this huge, wide, lush valley to eat from. They got a little mouthful here and a little mouthful there. And then he leads them to the still waters, where they need to learn to be still and drink from a place of being still. But we are very busy people. We want to eat from every kind of place out there. All the grass that is out there, and not the little mouthful that the Father wants to give us, because we're never satisfied. We strive and we strive. And so I thank you that today, my Father, that you will come and speak deep into our spirits. Your heartbeat. Not my mindset, but your heartbeat. That which you are wanting to speak to your people in this hour for us to be set free, as you had to come and set me free today. And I thank you for that, my Father. And so I praise and I thank you that I commit this time to you right now, that you would open up the mind of our understanding, open up our eyes, so that you may reveal to us the deeper revelation of your Torah, because the Torah is the foundation that we need, where we will see Messiah in our Torah. And so I praise you, Father, that you alone speak to us deeply in Yeshua's name. Amen. Praise Abba. Wow. Today he wanted to pray for sure. I would have prayed for an hour, the way I feel today, because that's just where I am. So we are going to look at Exodus chapter 17, where we continue in our wilderness experience, understanding that we are in this time of now where these Israelites are in this wilderness, and how profound that this is where we find ourselves, even in the timing that we are in right now, in the timing that we're in. If we look at where we were in the foundational covenant, to looking at where we are in the renewed covenant, we are looking to see where are we in this hour. And so the Father is just lining us up to be able to understand where we are in our season and time right now. And so we start to read, and it says, "And all the congregation of the children of Israel set out on their journey from the wilderness of Sin, according to the mouth of Yahuwah, and camped in Rephidim, and there was no water for the people to drink." Wow. So you see, here we go again, and we look at the wilderness of Sin. We looked at the wilderness of Sin last week, and the Sin means the thorn. It means clay. It means we are the clay, and he's the potter. We are the clay, and it is the thorn. What is the thorn? The thorn that will be in our flesh. And so this is everything to do with the clay, that we are the piece of clay, and this is the thorn that will be in the flesh. So that's why it is sin. Understanding. Interesting how it's called sin. And what is it that we got to be delivered from? From the sin in our lives. And what is sin? Sin is lawlessness. That is what sin is. That is what we see in 1 John chapter 3. So if we go look at 1 John chapter 3, let's go to 1 John chapter 3 so that we understand that what are we looking at? We are looking at sin. And what is sin? Sin is the lawlessness. And this is the problem, because we are called to be the clay, and he's called to be the potter, and the potter wants to be able to mold the clay and form it and shape it into what it's supposed to be, which means he's going to have to be able to take out of us the lumps that are there, the air pockets that are there, all these areas in us that he must be able to get out of us. And it is the thorn in our flesh, because at the end of the day, we don't like the thorn that is in the flesh. So, look and see. In 1 John chapter 3 verses 4 says, "Everyone doing sin also does lawlessness, and sin is lawlessness." So at the end of the day, it's interesting how they are in the wilderness of sin, because in the wilderness of sin, they are supposed to be being taught the law, his Torah way. But what are they going to do? They are to be the clay. But we don't like to be the clay. And we don't like when the potter is to mold the clay, because the clay still wants to do its own thing. And you know that it says, "And you know that he was manifested to take away our sins, and in him there is no sin." Everyone staying in him does not sin. Everyone sinning has neither seen him nor known him. So understand, the real sin. You see, we want to see sin as many things. Sin is lawlessness, which means it's Torahlessness, which means we are studying the Torah. We are studying our foundational covenant. And now we have entered into the critical part, because we've had a foundation laid to us in Genesis, so that we understand our forefathers, so that we understand their struggles, and they have had to become the patriarchs that have laid the foundation for us. Now, We were in bondage and living in Egypt to masters in slavery. We had masters who ruled over us. We had religious systems, and we have been in the world that has ruled over us and controlled us. Now, the Father wants to teach us and lead us to be able to get sin, lawlessness out of us and teach us the way that we are to go. And so there, and camped in Rephidim. We're going to look at this Rephidim. We're going to understand Rephidim. We're going to understand what he wants to show us with Rephidim. You see, Rephidim is the place of, it rests, resting place. So he needs to take the lawlessness out of us so that we can finally enter into that place of rest with him. And this is what we're going to look at. And there was no water for the people to drink. You see, where are the people today? Where are the people today? The people are not receiving the living water. The people are drinking from polluted cisterns, but they're not really receiving the living water. And this is the problem. The living water is the water that he's got to drink. Not the drink that he wants to give us that's going to just be given to us from polluted places. And believe me, people are drinking from many polluted places because they want to lend their ears to many things. And the more we lend our ears to many things, the more the mixture comes in, because eventually we battle to know the truth from the lie. And this is why we'll end up going into confusion. Because everything that he's wanting to do right now is to be able to give us the living water. And right now, we are a people that need to be able to drink from the living water. But you see, when that living water is not truly being given to us, this is the problem. When we are truly drinking from the living water, there's no complaining, because the living water will satisfy us. And we will come in that place of where we rest, because the living water is what we really need. But you see, this is not quite what we get revealed. We want some kind of manifestation of the flesh. You see, it's not good enough to just receive the word. We want the manifestation that goes with everything. And this is the problem. And I speak for myself, because this is where I was last night. This is where I was this morning, crying out to my Father. And this is why I'm saying, you see, where are we in our Exodus experience? Where are we in our wilderness experience? Are we satisfied with where the Father's got us right now, where he's giving us the water that we need to drink? Or do we just don't? We're just not satisfied. We run here and run there and go there and go there, and we're just not satisfied. And so let's look and see what he says. Therefore the people strove with Moshe. So you see, then the people start to strive with the leaders that the Father puts. This is Moshe now. And now they strive with Moshe. And understand, Moshe is a type of Yeshua. And so we will cry out to Yeshua, because we're not satisfied with where we are, because we want more. And if he's in control, he will give us the water that we are to drink from the places that he wants us to drink from, because he knows where his living water is coming forth from. Therefore the people strove with Moshe and said, give us water to drink. And Moshe said to them, why do you strive with me? Why do you try Yahuwah? So you see, in our striving, in our complaining, who are we striving with? We are striving with Yahuwah at the end of the day. And so we need to humble ourselves before him and say, Abba Yahuwah, I am coming as a sheep. Because you see, we're called to be sheep. And I want you to be the shepherd. Lead me to drink from the well, to drink from the river of where you want me to drink the living water from. And they've already seen that he gave them water. But still, they don't trust him. They don't believe him. They don't put their faith and trust in him, because they want, if they pray right now, it must be answered right now. Wow. Last night I was listening to a testimony of a man that he prayed for something for 3 years, and for 3 years, he had to be obedient in an area. He had to be obedient in giving over and above and beyond his means, where he was not in a position to do it, but yet obeyed the Father in what the Father told him to do. And only after 3 years, the Father then brought a manifestation from the obedience of what he walked in. But you see, we're not always willing to be able to obey. We just want the Father to do without any obedience. Obedience is what's going to bring the blessing, but the Father tests the heart. The Father will test us in the area where we are before he can be able to unleash more to you, before he can give you more. He's first going to see, what do you do with what he's given you now? Can you chew what he's given you now? Can you drink what he's given to you now before you can get more? And if he wants you to go through a little season of thirsting, then he wants you to be able to get to a place of understanding that he's the one who's going to quench the thirst. But are you satisfied to be where he's got you right now? Or are you not satisfied to be where you are? So, the people thirsted for water. So see, this is the problem. People are thirsting for water. The problem is, where are they drinking water from? Because people are running around and they're drinking from many cisterns. Man-made customs and traditions. Because what are cisterns? Are they made by Yahuwah at the end of the day? Is it the living water flowing from an underwater spring? Or are the cisterns? Sometimes cisterns are very much man-made. And it's the man-made customs and traditions. It's the man-made things that is being given to us. And many times it's not from the living water that the Father wants to bring. And the people thirsted for water, and the people grumbled against Moshe. So you see, this is the problem. Instead of us going to him and saying, Father, I'm thirsting, can you give me water? Now, instead of them humbling themselves, I mean, they've seen how Moshe was able to bring water. There was polluted water, that Mara that was there, and he was able to, the water became sweet, and the people drank from that water. He's been taking care of them. He's given them the manna. They have seen how he's given them the manna, he's given them the meat, he's given them everything. Do you honestly think that he's not going to want to give them water? Do you honestly think that it is necessary for them to bang down heaven because of their own flesh desires? Because this is what they want now. And this is exactly how I myself was behaving yesterday. Banging down heaven to say, well, Father, you spoke this, and you said this, and you did that, and you spoke that there, and why is it that you have not done this? Because now I'm measuring myself and comparing myself with someone else. And now all of a sudden where I find myself is not good enough, because I want to measure myself with someone else. And I want to measure myself and say, well, now I'm not satisfied to drink where I'm drinking right now. I want more. And I'm not going to allow the Father to do what he's got to do in my life and go through the process of what he's wanting to take me through for me to learn the lessons that I am to learn before he gives me what he's already promised me. But I want to bang down heaven to get it now because I want to be a spoiled brat. And this is how we many times behave. And you know what? I am not here to be no sweet and innocent, because this is what we do. And believe me, if this is me, this is what we do. Because we're just not satisfied. We're not satisfied because religion has told us that we are not to be satisfied. Religion has told us you've got to get more and more and more and more and more. And religion has not taught us that we are to drink from the living water and come to the still place and sit with the Father and allow him to take us on our process. Step by step. And allow ourselves to sit with him. And now, my child, chew on this. Because you're not ready for the next thing I have to give you. Chew here first. Drink from here first. Because when you're ready, I'll take you to the next step. But you see, we want to clean up quickly. We want a quick fix. This is the world we live in. Let's go drive through McDonald's, drive through to be able to get our meal. Drive through, we choose the churches that people want to go to in order to be able to get their little fix that they need. Choose the little things that we want to be able to listen to that's going to cater to our ears. And this is what we do. Because it's all about what needs to cater to my flesh. But yet at the end of the day, the Father is trying to take you into a deeper understanding, and that is why He needs you to come into a place of rest in Him. And in this place, He wants you to be able to know that He wants to reveal Himself to you in that place before He can take you further. Because remember, if we start to move too quickly, we do not have the character to be able to maintain the work that He's got to do for us there. Our character, the anointing might be there, but the character is still not lining up. Because there's jealousies, there's striving, there's all of this within us. He says, why is it that you don't have it? It's because you don't know how to ask, because the way that you ask is for the wrong motives and the wrong reasons. James tells us. And you strive, and you fight one another, and you have jealousies, and all these dissensions within you because you're jealous of someone else. What is it? Are you happy to be where He's got you to be? And this is what He's bringing us to drink. In the wilderness, He's going to try and take us to a place of where we've got to go deeper with Him. And to go deeper with Him, it means that you have to be in the place of rest to allow Him to do the deeper work in you that He wants to do. And that is a total and utter surrender. And therefore, if it means He's going to be able to be a day or two that He's not going to give you water, are you satisfied to be there in that place? Are you satisfied to be in your dry season where He's got you in your dry season? Because He's trying to teach you something. It's like I was saying to my friend today, the one that was speaking to me today, this prophet friend of mine. And I said to her, my sister, I know you're going through a difficult time right now, but I have a scripture for you. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. When you have learned what you needed to learn in the season that you find yourself in, this too shall pass. And you will have the testimony, but you will have learned what He needed you to learn in the time and the season that you find yourself in. But this is the problem. We don't like the season that we find ourselves in. So we strive, and we moan, and we gripe, and we complain, because this season is not good enough. We want more. And so He says, and the people thirsted there for water, and the people grumbled against Moshe and said, why did you bring us out of Mitzrayim to kill us? So you see, automatically, it's such an evil thing. We don't see the good in everything, we see the bad in everything. So you see, when we go through a trial and when we go through the test, we see the bad in it as opposed to seeing the good in it. We don't see what the Father's trying to do in us in the time. We see the bad, and then this is the problem. We want to pray ourselves out of the place that we find ourselves in. And then we start to moan. Then Moshe cried out to Yahuwah, saying, what am I to do with this people? Yet a little, and they shall stone me. So now by this time, Moshe is really starting to get a little bit anxious here. He's saying, just now, they are going to stone me because they don't want to listen. I mean, if you don't give them water right now. So you see, now Moshe is getting to a place of where he too is becoming desperate. Just now they're going to kill me. Could they really kill him? Is that really what the Father has said to him? Is that really, did the Father not say to him that He's going to lead His people out? That He's the one who's been chosen, but now He's already saying, in a little while they're going to kill me. Do you see how we will always see the bad in a situation? Even Moshe now is starting to cry out to the Father in a desperate place. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, pass over before the people. Take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand your rod with which you struck the river and go. You see, what do we have in our hand? He gave him a staff. He gave him the authority. He gave him the rod already when he stood. He had his staff. That was the staff that he gave him. From the time that he went and stood before the Pharaoh, this is the staff that he gave him to be able to do the great signs and wonders and miracles that the Father had him do. But here he stands. Also, are you of little faith? What do you have in your hand, Moshe? Take the rod that I've given you. See, I'm standing before you, there on the rock in Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and the water shall come out of it, and the people shall drink. So you see, we've got to be careful, because you see, already at this place, Moshe is already in a place where he's already saying to the Father, these people are going to want to kill me. Understand, the heart attitude is already not right. So the next time this is going to happen again, what is Moshe going to do? He's not going to think rationally, is not going to think logically, is not going to think with an intercession place, because he's been hurt before. See, do you see why we have to deal with our hurt and our pain? Because you see, when history repeats itself, how do we behave? See, the other people are striving with him. The other people are complaining against him. Moshe is in a place that he's saying that at any moment, yet a little, and they shall stone me. So you see, we have to look and see what is the attitude of our hearts when we're going through the trials and the tests that are in our lives that come to confront us. If we don't deal with the attitude of what is in our hearts at the time that the Father is going to deal with us, understand it's going to come back through another way. And when it does, that is the place of when Moshe struck a rock, when he was told to speak to a rock. Because instead of him hearing what the Father spoke to him, he went on his feeling of what he felt in this very place. Do you understand? This place of the trial of the flesh, that we are going to understand this place where Father is wanting them to be able to come into a place of rest. Now listen to what the word Horeb. Horeb is H2722, which means desert, but comes from the root word H2717, Charab, which means to lay waste, to make desolate, be in ruins, be dried up, decay, destroy, kill, make waste. And now he says to him, see, I'm standing before you there on the rock in Horeb. So this Horeb place is this desolate place. It's this place of desolation, laid waste, and he's going to strike a rock. But in the next instance, who was going to be the rock? The rock was going to raise up as Yahushua, the rock of ages, the rock on which we stand, the rock that becomes the stumbling block for many. And you shall strike the rock. So put your trust and your faith in the rock, who is Yahushua himself, because in the next instance, now he's striking the rock. At the next time, is going to be told to speak to the rock, because Yahushua is the one who's going to do it. You see, now they're right in the beginning. But as he goes further into his wilderness experience, the people by this time need to see the Father's power, which means he's going to need to speak to the rock. But by this time, Moses has already gone through the irritation of this very place that he finds himself now, of where he's saying, he cried out to Yahweh saying, what am I to do with this people? He's already irritated with this people. Do you understand? This people is irritating him already. You see, this your people that you brought, out of this world and out of Egypt. And he's already saying, this people who are going to want to kill me. Do you see? Do you see the attitude of the heart? See, this is where Scripture needs to open up to us and to reveal our conditions of our hearts. And it's got to bring Yeshua into the situation to make us understand what is he saying. In this horror place, there is a desolate place. There is a place of desolation. There is this place of where there is ruins and it's dried up. But I am the rock that is going to bring you the living water. So in your place of desolation, in your place of ruin, in your place of where it's made waste, I want to be the living water that's going to come from the rock. And Moshe did so before the eyes of the elders of Israel. And he called the name of the place Massah and Meribah because of the strife. Okay. So now when we have a look at the word Massah, the word Massah means temptation. So understand, Yeshua is the living water that needs to be able to come and fill us. Because he is the only one that is going to help us in the time of the temptation. He will give us the living water when we need the living water that we need to drink. He will give us the word that we need at the time of that we need to hear the word. It was like myself, like I said last night, I was crying out, praying to the Father in my place of my own despair that I found myself in, because now I go into this place of rejection. I go in this place of where I just don't feel good enough. Because why? Because the only time we get to that place is if we have to compare ourselves to anybody else. And the only one that we need to be able to stay humble before is the Father. And so by this morning, as I wake up, the Father is speaking to me. He's saying, my child, I have put the living words in your mouth that you are to speak. People will be set free by the word, not through manifestations of your heavenly realm that you want to go into. Because that was the cry of my heart. I want a visitation, Father. It's night after night after night. I want your visitation. Do you see? We do not understand. I have put his visitation in a box. And his visitation is, I'm saying, well, you must take me to a heavenly realm. And then I've had a great visitation. Yet, in my mindset, the fact that he's putting the living word in my mouth in order to be able to open up the scripture and giving it to his people, that's not good enough for me. I want a heavenly visitation. Because if you do it for this one, and you do it for that one, and you do it for that one, why don't you do it for me? So now I don't see myself good enough. I share my heart, because this is where we get to. And then the enemy comes and climbs on the bandwagon and takes us deeper and deeper into our problem of when we then come into a place of midst of depression. Because now we feel so unworthy. Don't worry about what you are doing. Don't worry about what you are busy doing. No, let's worry about what you're not doing. Don't worry about what the Father is doing for you. So the Father is so faithful because he gets an intercessor friend of mine, apostolic prophetic woman, to phone me, to also speak into my life, and then he sends a prophet friend where I'm sending her a message, and through what I'm saying to her, she doesn't even know what I'm going through, but she brings all the confirmation of everything that I need to hear. And I just get rebuked. And then I get spoken to, and then I get taught. And this is what I was being taught. You see, instead of you being satisfied with where you are, where the Father's got you to be right now, because this is what he needs you to be able to bring to a people. Because the people need to be able to get the word. Because right now, we need to come back to the word. It's the word that people have gone far from. And if we do not have the word, we are not going to discern the truth from the lie in these last days. And this is what I woke up to this morning, to him saying to me, I give you the living water for you to drink. I give you the word. I speak to you myself. But you're not satisfied with that. You see, here's the Israelites. What are you not satisfied with where the Father's got you? Can you rest in him? So Massah is the place of temptation. So understand, this was their place of their temptation. Do you honestly think the one that's been giving them manna every single day for 6 days a week, he gives them manna, on the 6th day gives them double the portion? Do you honestly think that this one is the very living Yah that they are getting used to every day receiving manna is not going to give them water? Do you honestly think that it was necessary for them to have to sit and get upset with him about this? Or get upset with Moses, but when they're upset with Moses, they're actually upset with the Father. And so, Massah, the root word of Massah, so Massah is H4532, but the root word of Massah, H4531, is to have despair, to be detested, to have a test. Testing, proving, trial. So the trial will come, the test will come, and it's the proving to see, where are you? Are you satisfied to eat from the little grass that he's got you to eat from right now? Are you satisfied with where you are right now? And are you surrendered to him to say, Father, just break down in me those areas that you need to break down in me so that I can move to the next level, because right now I can't handle the next level because you haven't quite delivered me from the place where I find myself. And so the Father is so faithful, because you see, you cannot see. When the enemy comes and he wants to bombard you, you cannot see. But the Father, in that very test, will bring one. This is the whole thing, because I had a prophet with me from yesterday, stayed over at my house, and now I want to compare myself, which I cannot do. But yet, the temptation is there. Until this morning, she comes and then she sets me straight. And that was still not, I still didn't receive it. Even though she's trying to help me, I still don't receive it. So what does he do? He sends me another prophetic voice, and he sends me another prophetic voice, and then he gives me a teaching. So at the end of the day, it's like, my child, truly, I just need you to rest in me. So you see, the Massah is that place of despair. It's that place of testing. So when we come into despair, we are being tested. We are being proved. We are in our trial. And Meribah is H809. It's the strife. It's the contention. Then we want to go into strife and contention, where the people murmur against Yahuwah, where we are not to question the work of his hands. We are like spoiled brats. We question the work of his hands. We are not happy with where we are, with how Abba uses us, and we keep striving for more because we're not satisfied. And this is just, unfortunately, what a religious system has given us. We are not satisfied to be able to be with the Father where we are right now, to allow him to do the deep work that he's got to do in us, to be able to, because he's more interested in your character than he is interested in your gifting. Hear me again, I say it again. He is more interested in your character than he is interested in your gifting. Because the character is the thing that takes the longest to work on. And that is why he wants to crucify our flesh. So now we go and we look, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're having this whole thing going on about water. And then all of a sudden, they're going into a battle, and I'm thinking, oh my Father, how do we marry this all up? Because understand, this was all about Meribah, because of the strife of the children of Israel, and because they tried Yahuwah, saying, is Yahuwah in our midst or not? So you see, we strive with him because we don't believe that he will do what he says he will do at the appointed time. But you see, we don't want his appointed time. He would have given them the water. They didn't need to ask him for the water. He would have given them the water. They didn't need to strive for it. They didn't need to complain for it. He would have given it at his appointed time. He's busy doing a work in them. He's taking them through a trial. He's taking them through the test. But you see, we do not discern our tests. We do not discern our trials. And this is where we come short, because we cannot discern the test and the trial when the test and the trial comes. And then we strive. And then we want to come out of the Father's timing. And then we run here, and then we run there, and then we want to do this, and we want to do that, and we want to get busy with many things, as opposed to being able to come into that place of Rephaim, which we're going to understand that Rephidim, rest. In the rest, he gives you the water. So now, all of a sudden, we've been busy with this, and now here comes a battle. All right. And Amalek came and fought with Israel in Rephidim. So Amalek is coming to be able to fight with them. So listen to what Rephidim means. So Amalek, first let's look at what Amalek means. Amalek is H6002. And it means dweller in a valley. Wow, it's the dwelling in the valley. So we're not on the high mountain, we are in the valley. And he always says, come up higher. Come up higher. He's on the mountain. But now we are dwelling in the valley. And that is why now Joshua's going to go fight them in the valley. And who's going to be on the mountain? So it's dweller in the valley. And then the minute I got this word of dweller in the valley, the Father said to me, it's the valley of decision. Because they don't want to obey Abba Yahuwah. They don't want to follow him. And who are these Amalek people? They are the descendants of Esau. So what do the descendants of Esau represent? See, the descendants of Esau represents the flesh. It's the one that says, I don't want to wait until I'll give up my birthright now, but I want my plate of soup now. I want my flesh to be satisfied now. Do you understand? That is Abimelech. Amalek are those very people of the descendants of Esau. Esau sold his birthright. Esau, the Father said, I hate. Esau was the hunter that wanted to be out hunting, satisfying his flesh, gave up his birthright to his brother to say, I have to have this plate of soup now. I have to eat the soup now, or else I will die. I will give up my birthright if I have to, because I'm all about my flesh. And what did Jacob want to do? Jacob wanted to dwell in the tents of his father. So now the Father is going to present to them. Say, okay, now let us look at Amalek, these Amalekites. Let's look at these Amalekites. Understand who these Amalekites are. You are going to have to overcome an Amalekite spirit within you. And this is what the Father was opening up to me. I pray that I can reveal this to you the way that the Father revealed it to me. I really pray that, Father, give me the grace to be able to open this up. And so if we look at Joel chapter 3, let's go look at Joel chapter 3. In Joel chapter 3, from verse 14. Now this is the vision that I've had when I saw the multitudes in the valley of decision. Joel chapter 3 from verses 14 says, crowds in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahuwah is near in the valley of decision. Understand? So crowds in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahuwah is near in the valley of decision.
Sun and moon shall become dark, and stars shall withdraw their brightness, and Yahuwah shall roar from Zion, and give forth his voice from Jerusalem. So these are the crowds in the valley of decision. They need to make the decision to follow Yahushua, because the day of his coming is near. And then he says in verse 16, and Yahuwah shall roar from Zion, and give forth his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But Yahuwah shall be a refuge for his people, and a stronghold for the children of Israel. Then you shall know that I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, dwelling in Zion. My set-apart mountain in Jerusalem shall be set apart, and foreigners shall not pass through her again. So the Father showed me that this Amalek is those that are in this valley of decision, that continue to go around a mountain. They continue to make decisions, and the decisions to stay in their flesh and follow their flesh nature, just like Esau. And so Rephidim is H7508, and it's its resting place. So you see, the Father, look and see, he turns around and he says, they were dwelling in the place called Rephidim, and you shall strike the rock. So in this place of Rephidim, there is a rock that they're going to strike in Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and water shall come out of it, and the people shall drink. Because why? They drink from the living water that comes from him. And when we drink from him, we enter that rest. We are not striving. We are in the place of rest. So now Amalek came and fought with Israel in Rephidim. So they are these people that are trying to be in this place of rest. But the Amalek spirit comes, and the Father's going to need to deal with the Amalek spirit within his people, because they have this spirit in them that is wanting to do their flesh way. He's going to reveal through this, he's going to open up the scriptures for us to understand our flesh nature. Because Esau was about the flesh. And this is what they've been doing. So now look and see. Moshe said to Yehoshua, choose for us men and go out. Fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I am stationing myself on top of the hill with the rod of Elohim in my hand. So you see, he goes up the mountain. So Moshe is on the mountain, and Yehoshua is in the valley. And he's going to have to deal with this Amalek. Who does Yehoshua represent? So let's look and see. And Yehoshua did as Moshe said to him, to fight with Amalek. And Moshe, Aaron, and Hur went up to the mountain of the hill. So here we see, what does this all mean? Moshe. If we go look at the word for the name Moshe, Moshe 4872 means drawn, drawing out, rescued. He is the prophet, he's the lawgiver, he's the leader for them to come out of Exodus. He's the leader of the Exodus. So he's the prophet, he's the lawgiver. He's the one that he's going to draw out. He's going to rescue them. He's going to draw them out of that place of bondage, of that place where they've been captive. He's the prophet. So many times the Father raises up prophets as leaders to lead the people out of the place of where they are captive in bondage. And they are what? Lawgivers, bringing the people back to the Father's Torah ways. Aaron, 3 people went up the mountain. Moshe, Aaron, and Hur. So let's look and see. Aaron, H175. What does his name mean? Light bearer. He's the light bearer. He's the Levite and the high priest. And then you've got her. From the root word H2353, which is Hur. It's her, but it's Hur. And what does this mean? White clothes, white cloth, white linen. Be white, pure, set apart, holy. So let's look and see. Up on the mountain is Moshe, representing again Yahushua, the one who is our lawgiver, the one who is our prophet, the one who has taken us out, the one who's bringing us out of Exodus, the one who is going to draw and rescue us out of the hands of the enemy, out of the hands of these Amalekites, because this is the flesh nature. And when we're on the mountain with him, then he's also Yahushua, the one who's in the valley, destroying the Amalek spirit on our behalf, because Yahushua is a type of Yahushua who is fighting for us in the valley, taking us out of the valley of decision. So when we are, he's the high priest. He's the high priest, he's the Levite, he's from his mother's side Levite, from his father's side Yehuda. The one who is dressed in white, the one who is pure, the one who is set apart, the one who is holy. But at the same time, this is also painting a picture of those that the Father will put up on the mountain, a leader that the Father puts on the mountain. And then he's got his priests, the one whom the Father puts on the mountain, that is a leader, drawing the people out of this place of bondage. They will be a prophet, and they will bring the laws of Abba Yahuwah, and to lead the people out of the place of bondage. They bring them out in Exodus. To exit out of the place of bondage. And with him, there are priests. With him, there are those that carry the light. They are the priests that have to carry the light, because these two men have to hold up his arms. And then there is those that will be clothed in white, who are with them, all up on the mountain. So, from Exodus chapter 17, from verses 11, so let's continue to read. And Yehoshua did as Moshe said to him, to fight with Amalek. And Moshe, Aaron, Hur went up to the top of the hill. And it came to be, when Moshe held up his hand, that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. So do you see, there is a war going on right now, and the Father has his true prophets that he puts there to be able to fight the battle. But guess what happens? Instead of there being a Hur and a priest and a Levite to help in the battle, instead they fight each other. The people fight with the leader. And this is what ends up happening. And a camp divided against itself will not stand. So where are those that need to come around the leaders that the Father has put to be the ones that are bringing the laws, bringing Abba Yahuwah's ways? They are the prophets whom the Father is raising up. They are the ones that are there. They are the ones breaking ground. They are the ones having to fight the battle in the spirit realm, breaking ground for the Father. Instead of them holding their arms up and standing against them, instead they gripe, they moan, they complain. There's jealousy, there's contentions, there's all the strife going on. And you see, this is exactly why my friend came yesterday to a place of safety, to a place of rest, where she can come, because she's running away from people, because she's so broken and she just needs a place to come and find a place of safety and rest. Why? Because she's battered by the people. The very people that she's trying to help. The very people that she's fighting on the front line for. And you see, this is the problem. We don't understand. We don't discern Father's ways and Father's kingdom and Father's giftings. We don't. And so the leader is fighting against the arm of the flesh. See, the leader will always fight against the flesh because that is what they have to do. They have to fight against the arm of the flesh. They have to fight the battle of the Amalek that wants to be able to take the people out because they will keep going into the flesh. And if they go into the flesh, they're not going to be able to come into the fullness of the Father's ways. And the leader is fighting against the arm of the flesh, bringing people into a place of peace. You see, the leader has to fight to bring the people back to Yahushua, who's the Prince of Peace, who's the one who's going to bring them into that place of rest, and taking them out of the valley of decision, because they're in this valley of decision, and they're not making the decision. So you see, all of this, Yahushua is the one who's going to go and fight the battle for us in that place, provided he's got his leaders sitting on the mountain, doing the intercession work, doing the work that he's called them to do, to fight the battle for him, by being able to raise up the banner, by being able to raise up his staff, by being able to stand, by being able to speak the word. In this case, this is Moses standing there. But the Father has given me the picture, the full picture of what is going on. They are the ones that are fighting for those in the valley of decision. And this is why it's Yahushua that is also on the mountain. So I'm painting you two pictures. One is Yahushua, the other one is his leader, Moses. So one, Moses is standing as Yahushua. One, Aaron is standing as Yahushua. Her is standing as Yahushua. The whole thing is Yahushua standing on the mountain, but at the same time, this is Moses, this is Aaron, this is her. What are they representing? People groups. They're representing three types of people groups. They're representing the prophetic people group. They are presenting those that are the prophets, the lawgivers, those who are helping the people to come out of the bondage of their flesh. Then there is the Aaron. They are the priests, standing with him, standing, fighting the battle with him. Then there's the hers, those that are righteous, those that are clothed in white, standing together on the battle to fight against Amalek, to help those in the valley of decision, to come out from the place where they are captive and in bondage, because this is about delivering his people. But what do people do? Yahushua is the one who fights for us. He's waiting for our prayers. He goes ahead of us, but the people will stay in the valley because he wants to destroy those being disobedient. The enemy is going to destroy those that are being disobedient. And Yahushua says, for those who stay in the valley of decision, the destruction is going to come upon them. So who was the one fighting in the valley? Yahushua. Yahushua is the one fighting on our behalf. Abba wants us to come into alignment with those that he has put in place. Moses is the leader that the Father put. The people needed to understand that Moses is the one standing on behalf of the Father. He's the lawgiver. He's the leader, taking the people out of Exodus and bringing them into the light. So listen to what he's doing. He's the leader. Okay, so this is how the Father then showed me. He's the leader, standing on the mountain. He's the one holding, because it says, let's read some more. But Moshe's hands were heavy. So they took a stone and put it under him. And he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and the other on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. So you see, this is how the Father showed me. Moses is the one standing on the mountain. He's the lawgiver. He's the one breaking the ground. He's the one whom the Father has spoken to be able to be the one who's speaking to the people to be able to come and break them out of the bondage. Then he's going to be able to bring these people out of Exodus and then brings them into the light. Because what is Aaron representing? The light. He's going to break them forth, to break them out of there, to bring them into the light, and so that they may be clothed in white. Do you see? That's what it is being up on the mountain. It's to be able to come to Yahushua, the one who is the one who's going to break us through. He's the one who's broken through for us. He's the one who's gone ahead of us. He's the one who is in the renewed covenant. He's the one who's already gone. He died and he resurrected. So that what? He can be the one who brings us the light. He's the prophetic voice. He's the one that we call to follow. He's the one that we call to follow. He's the one. So whoever is underneath him needs to do his work, needs to bring the people back to him. He's the one who sits on the mountain. He's the one who's bringing us back into the laws of the Father. He's the one bringing us back to the ways of the Father through what Moshe has given us. He's the one who's taking us out of Exodus. He is the one who is the light bearer. He's going to give us the light so that we may be able to know where to walk in the light. And he's the one that is going to be able to clothe us in white. And he's the one clothed in white. So he wants to deliver us, so that we may be able to be the light bearers, so that we may be able to be clothed in white. So when we stand together in chapter 13, verse 13, and Yahushua defeated Amalek, and his people were with the edge of the sword. When we stand together, we will defeat the enemy. But if a house divided against itself cannot stand, do you see how we are divided? And we fight one another, as opposed to coming alongside those whom the Father has put there to do a specific work. But no, because each one wants to raise themselves up and do their own thing and speak their own thing and go their own way and do whatever. I don't know. All I know is that I just see a house that's divided against itself. And it boils down to jealousies, envy, strife. And then he says in verse 14, and Yahuwah said to Moshe, write this for a remembrance in the book and receive it in the hearing of Yahushua, that I shall completely blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heavens. Okay, so where do we see this? Now once again, we go and have a look at this. Let's go look and see, where do we see it? We see this in 1 Samuel, and then we're going to understand. We don't have time to go in this tonight, but I'm just going to read it to you from 1 Samuel. Look and see. He's told him that he's going to destroy the Amalekites. He's telling them, he's saying, and Yahuwah said to Moshe, write for a remembrance in the book and recite it in the hearing of Yahushua, that I shall completely blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heavens. Because this Amalek spirit of this valley of decision of the flesh, that you will not make the decision to follow Yahushua and his ways. You will continue in your flesh and your flesh ways. It's going to come to an end. And so that's why if we go to 1 Samuel chapter 15, and in 1 Samuel 15 from verse 2 it says, and thus said Yahuwah of hosts, I shall punish Amalek for what he did to Israel, how he set himself against him on the way when he came up from Mitzrayim. Now go, and you shall strike Amalek and put under the ban all that he has, and you shall not spare them, and put to death from man to woman, from infant to nursing child, from ox to sheep, from camel to donkey. Do you understand why Saul was removed from his kingship this day? Because if he hadn't understood Torah, if he had been reading the scriptures of Moshe, he would understand that Amalek was to be removed from under the heavens, because that is what was said. It was said that the remembrance of Amalek from under the heavens. I shall blot out the remembrance from Amalek from under the heavens. Do you understand what does Saul do? Saul raises up exactly in the spirit of Amalek. Instead of him following suit in what was told him by the prophet, here we go again. The prophet gives him instruction, tells him exactly what to do. You shall destroy them, you shall ban them, you shall kill man, woman, child, and animals. I want no spirit of Amalek to come, not even onto an animal. So destroy it all. Because if they don't destroy the animals, from the people, the demons will just come out from the people into the animals. Destroy all. And what does Saul do? Saul goes and behaves exactly as it is in the spirit of Amalek, because he goes and behaves exactly like it is with Esau. The Esau spirit. I will half obey. And that is why the father is very severe. And when he turns around and he says to him in 1 Samuel chapter 15, that he says, then Samuel said, does Yahuwah delight in ascending offerings and slaughterings as in obeying the voice of Yahuwah? Look, to obey is better than a slaughter. To heed is better than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of divination, and stubbornness is as wickedness and idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of Yahuwah, he does reject you as sovereign. Why? Why was the father so upset? Because here's the prophetic word that the father spoke out of his mouth to Moshe in the hearing of the Israelites, to say, I will ban them, I will banish them, I will remove them, I will blot them out. So then we get to verse 15. And Moshe built a slaughter place and called it Yahuwah Nissi. Yahuwah Nissi. Yahuwah, my banner. He is my banner. He is the one who's going to be the banner over me. He is the one who's going to protect me. And listen to what he says after that. And he said, because a hand is on the throne of Yah, because a hand is on the throne of Yah, Yahuwah is to fight against Amalek from generation to generation. Why is he going to fight against Amalek from generation to generation? Because of the spirit of Amalek. He doesn't want the spirit that comes from the seed of Esau, a rebellious nature that he said he hates, because he sold his birthright for a plate to eat. And so he's going to contend with us and our flesh nature. And so what is he doing with us in this time of where we find ourselves in our wilderness? He is dealing with an Amalek spirit in the valley of decision. We need to now start to make a decision to come up the mountain and sit with our lawgiver, our prophet. Yahushua is our prophet. He's our lawgiver. He's our leader. He's the shepherd. He's the one who became the high priest for us. He is our high priest, and he's the one who is clothed in white. He's the one who's going to raise up for himself a people that are going to be prophet and priest, that he says in Exodus chapter 19, you will be a company of people, you will be a segula people, a holy nation before me, a holy priesthood for me. That I want to be able to raise up, that will be my light bearers, my light givers, and then I will clothe you in white, set you apart as pure and holy unto me. Praise Abba Yahuwah for his word and the understanding of his Torah, as Yahushua is got to be seen in the pages of our Torah. Let us pray. Abba Yahuwah, I thank you for your banner. I thank you, you are Yahuwah Nissi, our banner. I thank you that you are the prophet that we come to. You are our prophet. You are our leader. You are our high priest. You are the light, the one who is the light bringer. You are the light bearer. You are the light of the world. You are the one that was wrapped in that white linen cloth. You are pure, you are set apart, you are holy, and you are wanting a set apart people. You are in that valley as Yahushua. Yahushua was the one in the valley. You are the one that is fighting on our behalf against a spirit of Amalek that is constantly wanting to keep us in a valley of decision where we will not decide to crucify our flesh nature and follow wholly after you. So that we may come into that place You see, the enemy fights us so that we are not in that place of from Rephidim, that place of rest, that resting place where we can rest in you. You fight all this battle to bring us into that place in Rephidim where we are in that resting place in you. Teach us, Abba Yahuwah, to be in a resting place with you, as only you are able to take us by the hand and lead us so that we can drink from the living water. And forgive us, my Father. Forgive us for where we are not satisfied, to allow your process in how you want to lead us and how you want to guide us, because we strive and we do not know how to come to that place of rest, to rest in you and allow you to have your way in us, where you are the one then that sits on the high place, and you are the one that is fighting the battle on our behalf, and we are standing back and seeing how you are the one that's going to bring us through the process. Teach us and help us, my Father, in Yeshua's name I pray this. Amen.